Testing, testing, testing. GTA 6 is a Trojan horse, and words become thought in 5 easy steps. Okay, testing. Let me just. It's like it's live on YouTube, live on Twitch, and live on Kick. Well, Twitch seems to be frozen. It says I'm live, but it's not showing me on camera. That's strange. But since we're live on YouTube, and let me just double check Kick. Just a second. Password Kick. No. Mute. Oh, Yeah. Says I'm live and I've been live for the past 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Confirmed. All right, I'm getting ready to start. Yep, ready to go. Okay, so back to writing the quatrain. Writing the quatrain. A quatrain is a four-line stanza. A stanza is a line in a poem. Um, sorry, a quatrain is a four-line stanza, and a stanza refers to lines in a poem, or an overall poem, rather. Um, yeah, the lines of a poem. Now, I'm partial to poetry that rhymes. I know poetry doesn't have to rhyme. I do like haiku and all that, but I prefer when, I prefer when my poetry rhymes. I prefer the kind of poetry that matches syllables, matches phonetics. So I'm partial to rap music, and the wordplay of rap music is really the appeal for me. I'm sure other people listen to it for various different reasons, including the beat because they want to dance. But I'm with you on that. But my fixation, my appeal, the intrigue it holds for me is the wordplay factor. I have an affinity for words. I got away with words, and for some reason, God decided to gift me with that ability. So here's me using it. We're in Photoshop right now, and writing the quatrain is my easy, approachable, so approachable that even a noob, a, a complete newbie, can submit to this process and end up writing high level rap verses. A verse is 16 bars long, typically, generally speaking. Your favorite song is going to have, on average, two verses, 2 to 3 verses. One of those is most likely to be the chorus or a combination of the chorus and the bridge. But the other two is going to be what the artist uses to communicate his thoughts and ideas throughout the song. Now, a verse can be as many bars as it wants to be, but 16 is the average, and 12 is common, 8 is common, and even 4 can be a verse. 4 is a quatrain. Like I said, a quatrain is a four-line stanza. Now, because it's 4 lines, and because your average verse is 16 bars, it means that one quatrain is 1/4 of a 16-bar verse. So if you can write one quatrain effectively, impactfully, you can write a verse impactfully. Basically, if you can if you can make a snowball, you can build a snowman. It's just a bigger version of the same thing, like we got here. Now, my process is 5 steps long. These steps are not created equal. One step in particular is quite the doozy. I say that because it's challenging. It's not difficult, it's challenging, and it can take some time. While the other steps are so quick you almost don't even count them, but they're important. For instance, step 1 is about your mood. Your mood is important particularly if you're a beginner, if you're new to the creative writing process, because if you're new, you're gonna want to veer off and give your attention to something else when you run into um, the least bit of difficulty. What helps with that is to have some emotional investment in what it is you're talking about, what it is you're discussing, what it is you want to basically, if you can talk about it, if it's worth talking about, it's worth rapping about. Anything worth talking about is worth rapping about. You wouldn't open your mouth to say anything if what you were saying didn't have or hold some importance to you. So why not rap about it? Why not speak about it in a way that not only sounds pretty, but also prevents your words from falling to the ground? Adding the musical element to your thoughts and your ideas, to your messages, also adds weight and impact to your words, to your thoughts, to your ideas. So if what you have to say is worth saying, it's worth saying impactfully as possible. Therefore, why not put it in a multisyllabic rhyming format? And here's how you do it. You do this in five easy steps. I say easy, despite one step being particularly lengthy, depending on how familiar you are with English words. Now, I said this is approachable enough for a newbie, but there is at least a couple of requirements. You have to know how to read and write English or any other language. You know, I speak English. I don't speak Spanish that well, so I'm sure it works in Spanish. I'm sure this my framework works for Japanese and Chinese, but I'm not that fluent in those languages yet. So English is my way of peeling back the layers of this process. Step one is about your mood. Pick a mood that any mood is fine. Whatever you want to talk about is going to come from a place of emotion anyway. So, being that I'm talking about Grand Theft Auto right now, and the fact that it's different, Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar itself is different from the Rockstar that we knew from back in the day. It's coming from a an emotion that is veering on cynicism. So my current mood right now, I'm kind of cynical of what Grand Theft Auto 6 may turn out to be. I have I'm not gonna lie and say I have high hopes. Um, I'm expecting it because you know how if you're expecting the world and you're disappointed when what's delivered to you is less than that. But if you adjust your expectations, you can't be disappointed. I'm choosing not to have high hopes for Grand Theft Auto 6. I enjoyed the other ones. The only one I didn't play was San Andreas. I didn't have an Xbox, and if and when it did come out on PlayStation, the opportunity to play it was not there for me. But I hope to be wrong about it. It's just when I saw what the headquarters of Rockstar is composed of and the people working there, my shoulders dropped. And when I saw the evidence of because I didn't play Grand Theft Auto 5 online, only very briefly, and then after that I didn't bother with it. So there was a lot added to the game, a lot made for the DLC, and that I never engaged with, and I never followed it either. But when I saw evidence of certain things just that would never fly in the past being front and center now, it's like, man, how the mighty have fallen. Now, I'd love, like I said, I'd love to be wrong about this, but in the meantime, I'm leaning into this idea that what we got going for Grand Theft Auto 6 may may be may be disappointing. So my question is Grand Theft Auto 6 a Trojan horse? The idea of a Trojan horse is, let's say your family, your house is well barriered and protected against the outside world. Your house is one of light. Everything about your house is light and brightness and and spectacular splendor. But the outside world is purely dark and dreary and hideous and evil, and nothing out there is allowed inside where it's pure brightness. This is your house, and that describes the outside world. The ugliness of the outside world versus the beauty of your your inner domain. A Trojan horse is, in this context, the Trojan horse would be somebody on the outside world giving you a gift that very much aligns, a spectacular gift, a beautiful gift, a bright and shiny, gleaming gift. Someone from the outside, dark, evil world says, you know what? I want to I want to propose a truce between us and you guys. I know we're dark and I know you guys are bright. So here is this bright, shining, gleaming gift. And you say, man, what a beautiful gesture. Everyone on the inside of your house who belongs to the brightness, they say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I'd love to bring this long, tumultuous conflict to an end. Let's bury the hatchet. We accept your peace offering. You take the bright gift that can only align with the brightness of your house. You bring it in, and then it's like a statue that you set up somewhere in your living room to be admired from every angle. And then you go to bed. You accepted the gift is in your living room, and this bright gift was actually a hollow statue that was hiding darkness on the inside. Darkness that you would never, under normal circumstances, allow into your inner domain was hiding on the inside of the statue. And because you went to bed, you let your guard down, what was inside of the statue made its way out through a hidden entrance, a hidden exit, and contaminated the inner domain, the brightness and the splendor of your inner domain. Your world of brightness and splendor has now been corrupted by the darkness, and the darkness wins. That is my way of explaining the Trojan horse idea without going into the very detailed explanation of literal the literal occurrence. Now, Rockstar is big. Rockstar is so big that pause. Rockstar is so big that they can make $1 billion in 3 days with the previous game that they launched. So this game is like how much more? They didn't even show footage for the game. The people that are buying into the game and buying into the hype are doing so on the strength of past releases, especially Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, that's a recipe for, if you want to be cynical, it's a recipe for destruction, if you want to be dramatic about it. But I don't think you have to be dramatic about it to really see it that way. Rockstar stood for certain things. Let's call that ABC. and shunned other things. Let's call that XYZ. That was the rock star of the past. But the rock star of today seems to be more geared toward promoting XYZ and maybe even in favor of shunning the ABC of yesteryear. Now, I'm not saying you can't enjoy both, but I think it stands to reason that Rockstar was appealing because of its ABC nature. You see, when you like anime, you like it because it's different. You like it because it's foreign. When anime starts to get watered down and Americanized, the appeal is washed away. When you like video games, it's probably because you appreciate the fantasy, the ability to immerse yourself in a world that is different, that presents something different, something fresh, something that you can't get in your lived reality. So when your heart was in Rockstar or the Rockstar of yesterday, because of what it presented for you, because of the world that you were able to immerse yourself in, you have to wonder if and when things change in the most dramatic way possible, maybe the next game will just be end up being a shadow of its former self. Anyway, that's the whole theme of this episode of this live stream. I would have gotten online earlier, but I couldn't. It was a storm in the area and the router kept on going out. So I'm taking a the opportunity to get this stream done even as late as 12 a.m. But carrying on with the rest of this lesson, this musical lesson. Step one is choosing your mood. I explained mine is cynicism and the reason for it. Step two is choosing your scope. Your scope is basically the topic of your discussion, but don't look at it like that in such a concrete way because it could be that once you commit to step four, which is the scheme theme, which is you running your topic of discussion through the alphabetical filter, you could end up choosing a different topic and going with that, going with that completely different thought and idea, and that is perfectly fine. So don't get too committed to the idea that the scope has to be what you talk about, or that what you choose for the scope has to be what the verse ends up being about. The scope is just to order your thoughts. That's what we're doing here. We're ordering our thoughts, and we're doing it in accordance with um, a framework that exposes and isolates the syllables and the phonetics of what we have to say so that we can communicate what we're saying in a more ordered and appealing way, appealing to the ears. So, scope is step two is the scope. You decide what it is you want to say or what it is you want to talk about. In this context, in this episode, it's Grand Theft Auto is a Trojan horse. So, step three is you isolate, you target the ending syllables of your scope. Trojan horse. Um, if you're new to this process, if you're a beginner when it comes to creative writing, I strongly recommend that you don't go over 2 to 3 syllables. The last 2 to 3 syllables. When you're adept at this, you can rhyme as many syllables together as you want to, like 5, 7. It gets difficult as you add a syllable on. The more syllables you're trying to rhyme together, the more difficult your writing task is going to be. So I recommend that you keep it down to the last 2 to 3 syllables of your scope. Grand Theft Auto is a Trojan Trojan horse. Those are the last three syllables. Trojan horse. What are the phonetics of Trojan horse? O, A, or. O, A, or. Trojan horse. O, A, or. So those last three syllables, O, A, or, is what you run through the alphabetical filter. You go from A to Z, coming up with remarks, statements. They don't have to be complete statements. They're not complete. They can't be complete. These are segments of thoughts and ideas. And I've named them remarks in order to keep things organized. So you take the syllables of O, A, or, run it from A through Z to arrive at a lone recourse, below the horse, condone the course, dethrone with wars, enthroned by force, forlorn remorse, go unendorsed, hand out rewards. Notice that they don't have to be exact. You see, the benefit of speaking your words as opposed to strictly writing them and having to read them. In writing, you have to, what you're trying to rhyme together in your writing has to be a bit more one to one, has to be more uniform. But when you're speaking, you can use your accent, your dialect, your your manner of speech, your your vernacular to bend, shift, and contort what usually would not rhyme together into something that does rhyme. You can blend, and you know how they say orange doesn't rhyme with anything? That's really only true when you're trying to communicate rhymes on paper. But when you're speaking, you have the luxury of an accent, a vernacular, spoken mannerisms, and other factors that help you to contort syllables, phonetics into aligning with what it is you want to say. So Trojan horse may sound different from 0% worth, right? 0% worth and Trojan horse don't sound the same, but I can make it sound the same. You can make it sound the same by how you pronounce it. So to continue on, O at or hand out rewards. I clone the boars. J owns a Porsche. Kilos get stored. Lay low in ports. Mace down the doors. Napalm the forts. Okayed sound reports. You might have noticed that there are more than three syllables in some of these remarks, and that's because in a lot of the vowels, in a lot of events, when you come across a vowel sound, the vowel sound has it starts with its own syllable. It lends its own syllable to the remark. So you kind of have it. It makes it so that you have to add on to whatever number you're starting with, and that's okay. It won't be a problem going on beyond this step. It just comes with the territory. It's like the difference between S and an O. You can hear the S sound without S is not a syllable. S. That's clearly an S sound. S. But it doesn't, it's not a syllable because it's a consonant. Vowels, you can't say O without, you can't pronounce O without expressing a syllable. It's its own syllable. But ts, the consonants can be said, can be spoken without adding a syllable to what it is you're expressing, to whatever message you're trying to convey. So a lot of times when you come across A, E, I, O, U, sometimes Y, the remark that you conjure up to align with the phonetics of the scope, end up adding a syllable in the process. And that's quite fine. Continuing on with O, A, or Okade sound reports, parade round the verse, quick from the source, rotate round. Oh, that's incomplete. Skipping it. Safe from retorts, take down their lords. Like I said earlier, or maybe I didn't mention it. Some of these letters are going to be difficult to come up with content for, and that's fine. When you run into difficulty, when you come across, let's say, the letter K, the letter K can be a doozy. The letter X and Z and V and U and I, some of these are very difficult, more difficult than the other letters to produce content for, and that's okay. X especially. You just skip them and go on to the next one and come back to it later if need be. Now you see I filled out from A to Z, but it's fine to go on to step 5 without filling this out if you've run into that much trouble. But I will say that the more you plug in here, the easier the writing process will be once you get to step 5. Now, in my first 2 episodes, I did this. I went through this entire process live and on screen. But since it takes up so much time, particularly step 4, the scheme theme, I decided to come on stream this time with something pre-made in order for us to blaze through the lesson and not for me not to leave so much dead air. In the first 2 episodes, when it came to the writing process, it took a lot of silence, and that's boring as a spectator. So I decided to spare you guys or anyone who would watch the replay of that kind of viewing experience. Take down their lords, up down the charts, voracious resource. Wait out your warts. Xerox her birth. Yeah, but there's more. 0% worth. Not notice that these remarks have no coherence of their own. That's perfectly fine. What we're doing is ordering our thoughts and coming up with words, phrases, remarks that verbally, phonetically align with the scope because it's going to help us to plug in coherence in the writing process, which is step 5. Now, I already mentioned it, but going on to step 5, I've already written the quatrain. Grand Theft Auto is a Trojan horse. Wanna push a new agenda unforced? You slip it in the biggest game, of course. The name Rockstar has the sway to endorse new values, dethroning the old way with force. Now, episode 1 had a beat going in the background. I put on a YouTube playlist that had supposedly copyright free music um, playing in the background. But at the end of the VOD, at the end of the broadcast, the VOD told me that many parts of it had to be muted because the music that was played was actually copyrighted and owned by someone else. And I think that's a shitty thing to do as a beat maker. But since that's the case, I don't want what I express here on stream through my mic to be muted unnecessarily. And since I can't tell, I'm no psychic, when some beat maker, some producer, or aspiring producer is lying about whether or not their beat is going to be copyright free and remain that way, I decided to forego the risk of putting on music that may end up getting my VOD muted. So when it comes to the writing process, what you have to understand about poetry slash rap is the words, which would later become the music, it's done to a four count, like a four count, a one, two, three, four, one, two, three, four, that is represented by the kick and the snare. It's kick, snare, boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap. Every four count is one bar, which is representative here of one line. Now, I understand that if you look at this, give me a second. That might be too bright for you guys to see. Let me darken that real quick. You know what? I'll just write it in a different, I'll do it in a different color, a darker color. It looks like you're looking at 8 lines, but it's actually 4 lines. It's just that each line is broken up into 2 segments. Segment A, segment B. It is 4 lines total, which is a quatrain. A quatrain is a 4 line stanza. It is 4 lines represented by, with each line represented as 2 segments. That is for the purpose of breaking up the 4 count into a 2 count. So the 1, 2, 3, 4 is a boom, bap, boom, bap. But if you take one boom bap, that's one line, and the second boom bap is the first boom bap is the first segment of the line, and the second boom bap is the last segment of the line. So A is boom bap, B is a boom bap. A is a boom bap, B is a boom bap. It's a 1 2 and a 1 2. 1 2 1 2. That equals 4. 1 2 3 4 is one line. 1 2 3 4 is another line. 1 2 3 4, line 3. 1 2 3 4 is line 4. That's 4 bars of music. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. That's 4 bars. So I can do the writing part with a beat in my head, even though I recommend any beginner who does this should put on an instrumental with a 4 count, boom, bap, boom, bap, in order to commit to the writing process. But since I'm not tooting my own horn, since I can do it in my head and I don't have to risk the muting of my stream for step 5, I'm just going to go ahead and recite it for you in a way that helps you to hear the musical component of it. Now, I could bang my table in a 1 2 3 4 rhythm, but I don't think the mic would pick up on it because it'll filter out anything that's not my voice. So just try your best to follow the rhythm here, or follow the swaying of my head. This is a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2, which is a 1 2 3 For Grand Theft Auto is a Trojan horse. Wanna push a new agenda unforced? You slip it in the biggest game, of course. I got thrown off. Grand Theft Auto is a Trojan horse. Wanna push a new agenda? Wanna push a new agenda unforced? You slip it in the biggest game, of course. The name Rockstar has this spoken instead of recited as rhymes. It's almost spoken in a conversational way. The way I wrote it, it kind of lends to the idea that it probably shouldn't work together as music, but it does. I promise. I promise it does. Hold on. I used a beat yesterday that didn't get flagged, so I'm gonna use that same beat today and hope that it wasn't just a fluke. In the meantime, oh, wait a second. I'll be right back. I couldn't find the same beat. Actually, I didn't want to because I remember yesterday I ran into some problems trying to loop it, and it was too short. Here's the different one. You hear the boom bap, right? That's one. It can get confusing when you're trying to count all of the factors that go into the track. But as long as you can boil down the boom bap aspect, you'll always have the 4 count. Some beats are confusing enough that the main kick and the snare is almost not even. It's either hidden or disguised in a way that lends you to the belief that it's not there. There are some beats out there that are that confusing, but for the most part, on average, you'll hear the boom bap, the kick and the snare, and it makes the 4 count very obvious. This is the tempo that you're writing the quatrain to. So to go through the process again real quick. Step 1 is get moody. Step 2, ready your scope. Step 3, target your ending syllables. Step 4, stack your scheme theme. It's the alphabetical filter that you run your isolated 2 to 3 syllables of phonetics through. And then step 5, you build your multi-syllabic verse. That's a point that I don't stress enough about my process. My process is how to arrive at, especially the scheme theme is emphasizing the multi-syllabic aspect of lyricism. Anybody can rhyme 1 or 2 syllables together, but when you get to 3, 4,